Welcome to the Sk8LikeYou podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's Mark, Sk8LikeYou podcast, Sk8LikeYou.com. I'm here with the one and only Will Osborne, Dad on Skates. How's it going, man?
Hey, doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for coming on, man. This is awesome.
Oh, it's a blessing. Absolutely. It's hard to catch me, but when you do catch me, you got my time. So
Yeah, man. No. I appreciate it. This is really cool. And dude, I was just, so everybody knows, I was just talking to Will, basically telling him like how most of this is fly by the seat of my pants kind of thing. And it really is. There's a couple things I definitely want to ask you. The one thing I was wondering, what is your actual home rink? Like, what would you consider your home rink?
So, in the past, I would have said Jimmy's, Fun Dome, and then Castle. So the three Harper rinks in Cincinnati. Well, when I was a kid growing up skating, there were three Harper rinks. There was Castle up in Loveland. There's Beachmont in Batavia or Amelia, and then there's Florence in Kentucky. So Florence was my home rink growing up as a kid. I grew up skating in Jimmy's as a young kid with my dad, doing lessons and learning the basics. And then right around 12 years old, I started going into competitive jam skating. Joined a team out there in Florence, Fun Dome. It's right by the Florence Yall Tower, or was. And that rink was one of the family Harper rinks. So as growing up, I go to lake skates every weekend. So I go from Fun Dome to, it was Beachmont, then Castle, then Fun Dome, and then one weekend off where we would all, as SWS was the Skaters with Style back in that time, we'd all carpool and go to different rinks and check out different places like Richmond. And we would skate with like Brace Skate. And we would skate with like the Dayton boys. And that was kind of how I kind of grew in my skating style. Jam skating was, I got to watch the legends, the OGs of jam skating back in the early 2000s so like Donnie Evans and Shannon Anthony and Tony Zane and Jesse Nice and all these jam skaters that nobody knows about. But if Nelson's watching this, Chris Nelson, he's going to know right off the bat because me and him were kind of in the same generation. He was a little bit older than me when I first competed. So when I go to talk about jam skating, it's like he's the first person to catch on to what I'm saying when it comes up to my history of skating.
Gotcha. So, and the reason why like that was going to be like my first question was because, so especially now, and man, it blows my mind when you say Jimmy's, right? Like I was just there for the first time at the last fly-in event.
Mm-hmm.
And because here's the thing, I kind of figured Castle was probably in there, but like, dude, so when I look at Jimmy's, right, and even Castle, right, and you just the kind of average person I see there, I would never think that either one of those places is your home rink. You know what I'm saying? Like you get down you just get down on a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? The style, everything. You can tell like it's for the most part, you're kind of one of a few that really kind of gets down like as far as your style at Castle, definitely at Jimmy's. My God, so okay, so it was all this traveling and hooking up with all these other cats that kind of made that happen for you, I guess, then.
Yeah, so what really happened was like when I was younger in skating, I got introduced to jam skating at the perfect time. Because when Fun Dome was starting a skate team and I was 12 years old, I was old enough to actually get into the ring, try out. I would practice at Jimmy's. I would do spins and jumps, and I was already doing crazy footwork while shuffling. I was already doing crazy footwork in the middle. I learned how to do toe jamming and hexing and all that stuff from some of the original skaters that I grew up skating with. Shout out to the local kids, Matt Honchell and Robert Comer and all these guys that nobody knows about. But like I grew up at Jimmy's, and Jimmy's was a tiny little hometown rink, and when you went in there and skated, it's got that hometown charm. So, I count my blessings because Jimmy's Roller Dome kept me out of trouble. Like growing up,
There you go.
skating was the way to stay out of trouble in that neighborhood. I go to the rink and the family there, Joe and Donna, rest in peace, Donna. She was a firewoman for the city, and she would come down, and man, she was like my mom. She was heavy. My mom and dad would, drop me off at the rink, and I'd be acting like a hooligan down there, but Donna would whip me right back into shape. I try to put my feet over those, those black rails right on the side. I would take my right leg and put it up over that rail, and I tried to ride the rail all the way down, and she would blow a whistle at me and kick me off the floor and put me in timeout. And I was sitting in the snack bar with my nose in the corner. because I was a hooligan, but it was all fun. It was all fun and love because they looked after me as a kid, and then taking those experiences and understanding that I could have been doing a lot worse things when I was younger, and then applying them into the jam skating stuff, like with SWS. We did fundraising. We would wash trucks there was a truck stop across the street from the Fun Dome at the time, and we would we would organize and do truck washes to save up money to go to Georgia for competitions. That's when I first saw Nelson. Was my first time I ever saw Nelson skate. Mind you, I was a very shy, timid guy. We all wore black T-shirts into this first event. It was UGSTA summer 2003. And mind you, we're all walking in our black jeans and black T-shirts. We look like emo kids rolling deep. And Dame Boys was the only team that knew who we were. So they were kind of like sheltering us, like, this is who these guys are. This is who you look out for when you're competing against. And I went out on the floor and I skated, and I went all out. I was crazy. I was whipping, spinning, doing crazy shuffles, and I think I got second place that year. And
no kidding.
People were like, "Who's this guy and where'd he come from?" So for you to say, "Hey, coming out, you don't expect me to be this type of skater coming from these little rinks and the little hometown rink, and then coming from Fun Dome or Castle, and the way I skate." It came from, all this background progress and all this training. My dad taught me artistic skating when I was younger. I watched the kids speed skate growing up, and I did speed skating for a little bit. And then once I started seeing the gymnastics side of things, where like people are doing back spins and breakdancing moves on skates, I was like, I got to do that. So younger me, I was able to do backspins and windmills and head spins and all these crazy breakdancing moves on skates. Now, not so much. I try to act like I'm 12, but I'm not. I really do. It hurts. It hurts a lot. I get probably 2 or 3 good songs in. I'm like, I gotta take a break, go shuffle around a little bit, record some videos, have fun with it, and come back and rest up.
Was there a period of time that you stopped for a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was there a period of time that you stopped for a little bit?
Yeah. So when I went to college,
when did you stop?
So I competed up till about 2008, and then I started going into college. And when I went to college for medical assisting, I moved to Dayton, Ohio, and I was still skating, still going to school, all this good stuff, but I wasn't skating as much. Now, every once in a while, David Smith would call me up and be like, "Hey, we're going to Missouri." And I'd be like, "Why?" And he would be like, "Yeah, just because I got a show going on with Radar." And I'm like, "Okay, but I have to work." He's like, "You don't have to work today because you're going to Missouri with me." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I would just hop in the car and go. And I've lost so many jobs from from doing that. I mean, I was just young. I was like, skating was a way of making money. So I was like, all right, I can make a few $100 doing this instead of going to work for the weekend. Absolutely. So, I mean, I still traveled and stuff, but I wasn't like competing. And then once Theo was born, I started getting back into it a little bit heavier. I got reached out to by Anabolics, and they asked to sponsor me, and I was like, absolutely, but I'll still skate. I'll still have a good time and show up to events and stuff. But like at that time, it was more about the experience of taking my family and going to these events, so my son could be introduced into what I do. Um, and I still feel like that to this day. Like every opportunity that I get, I count my blessings with Ron's events, because Ron, he introduces events for everybody of all ages. The only requirement is
Yeah.
skill set. So as long as you're able to skate and you know the etiquette enough, you know, you're welcome. So, Muncie, the Monster Mash last
Yeah.
weekend. That was fun. My son was able to go out there, skate with the other kids, Aiden, and some of these other young skaters that don't get to come to these events very often. They all got to get together and have fun, play tag. He got introduced to some of the local kids at Muncie's rink, the Gibson rink. That rink's beautiful, by the way. If you ever get a chance to go up there, it definitely has that hometown charm. It's located right in the middle of a neighborhood, just like Jimmy's is. So, I just felt right at home.
Yeah.
I really did.
Do you remember the first time you ever put on skates?
I was 4 years old. I remember it vividly because they were a pair of rentals from the rink, and they were a white pair of rentals with I don't know the plate, but it was like a metal plate, but it had red Renali, or not red, but yellow Renali wheels, and they were my rental skates. That's kind of how I remember skating, was like growing up, going to the rink. Was I always had my own pair of rental skates that I rented until my dad got my skates. I don't remember actually skating. That part I don't. I always remember my skates because it's always been a running joke. Was I had my own rental skates. Ever since I was young, I had my own rental skates. So, all the way till about 5 or 6, I remember my first pair of skates. They were LT 429s. Like,
oh, wow.
I can remember my first pair of actual skates. But before that, I always had a rental pair. Kathy at the rink would not build me, but she would basically have that boot that I would always have. And she would put my initials on the bottom and put a different set of colored wheels on there so they didn't know were my skates. Which was kind of, it was wonderful because my parents couldn't afford skates like that. We weren't rich or anything. I grew up kind of poor. So, my dad's big thing was once a month he would go to Chicago for the adult skates. That was his getaway for skating. Was he'd go up there and try to skate with the JB Legacies. And he only got introduced to that through a friend. He went up there one time with a friend and he fell in love with it. And then he would go up there with him once a month, skate with him for a little bit, and then come back home. And that was kind of his weekend getaway. And then for us as kids, like, my mom and dad looked at the rink as like a free daycare service.
Right. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Same thing. Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
My mom and dad were like, "Yeah, you're getting dropped off Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon matinee," and so that's why I to go back to Donna and the family. They pretty much raised me all the way up to about 9, 10 years old.
Yep. Yeah, it's the same thing for me, man. I grew up in a little podunk rink, in southern Maine, and basically the owners were like a second family. My sister, who's like the middle child, she babysat their kids. We all worked there. My older brother worked there. My sister worked there, and then I worked there. And it was like a second home for us, man. And it was the same thing. We had Wednesday night. We got dropped off Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and we stayed there till the session started at 7, and then Sunday afternoon. And that was just my life for like, oh God, 10 years probably, till I got out of high school.
Yeah, absolutely. Constant. I lived to skate. That was kind of like it. Like, I grew up as a kid in elementary school, middle school, and high school as as the skater boy. And then in high school, I got the nickname Turbo because I was always skating or dancing or always breakdancing and always getting into it and being sponsored and traveling for skating. And I was homeschooled part of the year and came back because I was always constantly going out and skating with either Team Rollline or with Team Radar at the time. And just going and doing these events was constantly always, meaning I went and traveled the world while I was young. I mean, that's why I was very lucky and blessed enough to go out and skate while I'm 16, 17 years old, get to go to Tokyo, Japan, go to Rome, go to Barcelona, and yeah, all these other places and skate. Went to wow, I can't even think of the place on top of my head. Thailand. I went to skate there once. Um, I really loved going to Rome. Rome is one of my favorite countries in the world. I love it. Or what's one of my favorite cities in the world? Italy is my favorite country in the world. I got to watch Roll Line, the manufacturing line of Roll Line. It
Yeah.
was very interesting because they only work, 6 months out of year, and then there's
Right.
3 months where they shut down in the summertime, and they get to go enjoy their summer, and then they come back and they work full production. So
when now with the jam skating thing, because I'm not even sure how old you are, but like were you like b-boying before you, like, was jam even a thing? Like, did you see jam come around, like, start, or let me ask, how old are you?
So I'm 38. I don't
Okay.
act like I'm 38. I don't look like I'm 38 either.
I don't know. Same. I'm 43, bro. Like,
so a lot of people, when they look at me, they're like, "Oh, you've been skating for a while." Yeah, I have. So when I started skating competitively in 2003, that was like the introductory into watching jam skating in its full swing.
so you were b-boying prior to that, though?
No. I
Oh, you
started
weren't?
b-boying right as I got into competitive jam skating. Now, of
Okay.
course, we understood how to do like the basics, like toe jamming and hexing and all that basic stuff that I learned from the Dayton boys and Team
Gotcha.
Braidskate. Braidskate would come down from Indiana, Kokomo. They'd come down to our all-night skates and show us the basics.
Okay.
And then we would go up there and skate with them and at their rink when they had late skates and stuff too. But they really liked coming out of our rink. Our rink was the nicer rink. So, watching these guys practice doing corkscrews and spins and jumps and synchronized dancing to, the beat, we got our inspiration from Miami-based music. We watched the skaters from Florida, Team Rydell, Team Jam Skate, Jammer, South Carolina, and Team Freestyle in Tennessee. It was prominently East Coast at that time. We knew there were skaters out in the West, but they would never come to our events, and it was this is at the broad time of broadband internet. So we knew there was people out there, but we always honed in on our Midwest to East Coast thing.
Yeah.
So and I got to watch it. Like it was at the time where like we would bring our big old camcorders and we record everything on VHS. And then I got introduced into the digital era of DVDs, and then we would have DVDs of every event. And then once internet came out, like DSL, we were actually watching these videos being uploaded onto. At the time, it was Google Videos. It wasn't YouTube just yet. It was Google.
Right.
And then jamtime.com came up where we had all the archive videos converted and then put online. And
I was just going to ask, so real quick, it's for everybody out there, including myself. What do you know? Do you have any idea of what would be the oldest video that exists of you skating on the internet? And do you know where to find it?
yeah, it is the oldest. Gosh,
I mean,
I want to say, probably 2006. I have a VHS of me in 2003 UGSA Summer Nationals, but it's not online. It's on a VHS tape, and I don't have a VHS player anymore. I do have the tape, but I don't have a player. Now, if I can reach out to Chris G in Florida, who happens to have all the archive videos, I'm sure he has that video of me digitalized, but I don't have it. The oldest that I can think of that I've seen recently or have is 2006 UGSDA Summer Nationals in Castle, and I got first place in his boys 16 and up premiere.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So
I remember that story. It was great. I have a story behind that too, but.
Well, real quick, I do want to hear it. Real quick, with the sponsorships, would you say that you were like more a competitive skater, or was it more like you did like appearances and, I don't even know what you'd call it, but essentially, just performances, or what would you, or is it kind of 50-50? What do you think?
I I I enjoy skating because of what it did for me.
Okay.
So the example of that is like I explained it before. Like skating kept me out of trouble when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that in my teenage years, um, when my mom and dad got a nasty divorce, and I watched my family members kind of go different paths in life. I took skating as an opportunity to keep me out of trouble again.
Mm-hmm.
And so going out and traveling and being able to compete, and I was more of I would say a performance skater. I
Okay.
didn't want to battle as much. I did
Okay.
battle. I enjoyed battling. I actually like being competitive in that nature,
Yeah.
but it was more for the experiences. I wanted to be able to go meet new skaters, new people, and get to know them, and get to meet people that I would never get to meet at home, and
Yeah.
then build friendships, being able to reach out to these guys on AOL Instant Messenger, or this goes to show my age, Xanga, or MySpace, and and I would reach out to these guys, and we'd just sit there and talk and share videos and all that good stuff. I was in it for the experiences, and the sponsorships came naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And when they came and asked me, I never went out and reached for them. They reached out to me and it was like, "Hey, we like what you do.
Yeah.
What would you like to, support this company?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, absolutely. As long as it's mutually understandable, and there's no heavy requirements or anything crazy, I'll support it."
Yeah.
One of my most lighthearted, you know, sponsorships would be anabolics. Like it was natural. They reached out to
Right.
me and I was like, yeah, I love skating. I love teaching. I love mentoring. And that's kind of what I wanted to do, was like, get more people interested in skating naturally. That's my big thing. I advocate for the outdoor roller rink, and that's not sponsored at all. That's more so just me seeing the opportunity to reach out to my city and
Mm-hmm.
say, "Hey, skating's a really, really low impact sport that can save it saves lives. It keeps you out of trouble. And if I can get more youth to come out and skate, it doesn't matter what they're doing on skates as long as they're staying off the streets.
Yeah.
I'm happy."
Hell yeah, man.
And I'm still the same way. I to this day I teach people to skate for fun. I don't charge for lessons. If I'm naturally at a rink and somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, I saw that. Can you show me that?" Absolutely, I'll show you in a heartbeat. I won't even blink a second guess, as long as I'm not I don't have Theo on my leg or anything, and
Right,
he's
right, right.
skating and he's safe and good stuff. I'm down. Like I'll show anybody anything.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of my thing. Like I mentor. Now, in the past, I was more of a performance skater. I enjoyed performing a lot. I didn't put a lot of effort into my performances, though. I like to freestyle.
Yeah,
So
man.
any event I went to, I'd be like, I show up to the event and I would grab one of my friends, and I have a story behind this. Like, 2006 UGSTA, I think it was Winter Nationals, and it was up in Vandalia, I believe. I reached over to my friend Chelsea and I was like, "Hey, Chelsea, pick a song for me." And she was like, "Do Scatman." I was like, "All right, cool."
Oh my
So
god.
I put Scatman on my at the time it was able to be put on my phone. I put it on my phone and I would listen to it over and over and over and over and over again. I listened to it at least 29 times just to get the first 45 seconds down.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
once I know every skit and beat and boop and bop down to that, I would footwork. I would just unleash. I would just do all kinds of crazy footwork to it, have a good time with it. I had a gist of idea what I was going to do, but I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, and just go have fun. Didn't matter if I
yeah.
placed or win. Don't care about that. I went out there. I wanted people to laugh, have a good time, enjoy the song, enjoy me skating, and I'll get my butt off the floor, because that's what I want to do. I want to have fun.
Because when you skate to a song like that, man, like I mean, you're not really skating to the beat. You're more skating to like the lyrics of it. I would assume, right? Is that what you're trying to do? Or explain, because that song is crazy.
So when you
Or is it
compete,
both?
it's everything. It's
Yeah.
it's an all in one. So you have you have categories that you're being judged on when you're at these competitions: originality, musicality,
Right.
um, difficulty of skating, showmanship or poise.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking in my mind, man, me skating the scat man is pretty damn hard. That's a difficulty in
Hell
itself.
yeah, dude.
Hitting every single beat, hitting different footwork that most people wouldn't hit, doing spins, doing drops, doing shuffles, doing jumps, doing flips. And those things I'm just like I'm not really counting in my head. I'm just going, oh, I'm going to do this. Let's just do it. It sounds like a good time to do it. Let's do it. And I would just have fun with it. Now I didn't always skate to win. It was more so I would just hype myself on some Red Bulls and go. You know what I mean? Like I got the song down. I'm hyped up on some Red Bull. Let's go out there and have a good 3 minutes. And I go out there and have my good 3 minutes. Hop off the floor. If people enjoyed it, great. If they didn't, well, they got to watch me skate for 3 minutes.
Yeah. And that it's interesting though, because when you mention that, like the musicality and I, because my thing, like I had never had any type of formal training at all. But
Mm-hmm.
coming up in Maine, I don't know if you ever skated in Maine, but it's like it's like an island for skating, dude. Like it's like nowhere else, right? And the music is everywhere, dude. Like it's like rock to slow country to an R&B song to a hair band song to a rap, like a hip hop song. It's
Mm-hmm.
insane, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
and my brother was a b-boy and he got me into it. And when I saw jam skating kind of come around, like I was like, man, like okay, that's cool and everything, but like I always tried to like kind of wrap my head around. I felt like I wanted to continuously move around the rink like we always did, but like I was trying to figure out, like I want to like basically almost like up rock on skates. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But like at a shuffle speed, you know what I'm saying? And like, so my whole thing was like constantly like not just trying to like skate to beat, but trying to skate to like basically kill the beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like skate to lyrics, right? Like Matt, like my brother used to say, like he would, especially when hip hop really got big, like for us, like it was like he wanted to like lip sync with his feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if the lyrical pattern was like da 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 da, that's what he wanted his feet to do. You
You
know what I
want your
mean?
feet to step over with that trill.
Yeah, and
You
then
know what I
come
mean?
out, yeah, and come out on downbeat or whatever, right? And I, it's crazy because when you said scat man, I'm thinking, oh my god, dude, like that's that's not on like a video anywhere, is it? That one thing.
Oh, I can post it. I think I have it. I think I posted it once or twice before on Facebook, and I think I posted it on TikTok once, but I can always repost it. It's no big deal. I think I have it saved on my computer. A lot of my stuff I save on a hard drive that is like external. It's like a NOS drive, and I can always pull it back out, replug it up, and then repost some of these things. I tend to try to keep all my old videos. I try to keep like anything that I record, I try to save for people too. I try.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard because I always run out of space eventually.
Yeah,
And the first videos to go are the videos of other people. I just try to keep some of the older stuff for me.
yeah, man.
Because like I said, like the recording thing, that's new. That's like months new. I have never recorded videos for other people. I never really liked being recorded either. Like that was kind of a weird thing for me. Like when people are like pulling out their phones and recording me, I never felt comfortable doing that
Well,
until
you were
until
there,
about a
like
year, 2 years ago.
yeah, you were there as that came in. Like you watched that happen basically. Like I was gone for years. I
Yeah,
left and nobody had a cell phone in their pocket basically when I left. And I came back and everybody was just everything, right?
yeah.
So, but you watched that happen. So you're saying though, like when you kind of saw that kind of coming in, you kind of stayed away from that?
Yeah.
Why did
It's like it
why do you think
wasn't.
that
I was
was?
not like technologically scared of it or anything. I never real. I was very self conscious as I, outside of skating. I'm actually really quiet. I'm not as loud and as you know dominant as most people think I am, or
Mhm.
extroverted. I'm actually very cool, calm, and collect. Now, in the past year, I've kind of broken out of my shell and kind of been more public, enjoying myself more, and hanging out with friends and doing new things and trying new things out. But before last year, No, I was pretty much to myself, except for at the rink. I'm an extrovert skater when I skate. That's it.
Right.
When
Yeah.
I take my
No.
skates off, hi, I'll see you next week. And I'm at home doing my normal routine. Um, but once I started learning this videography, I was trying new things out and testing the waters, and you know, I got a camera, and I was talking to this videographer from Cincinnati. His name is Ron, Midwest Visuals, and I
Yep.
fell in
Yep.
love with the way he created a story from skating,
Yeah.
and it got me to the point where I was like, I need to get a camera and I need to try this. I need to at least make videos to where I can enjoy myself creating these miniature stories, action stories happening. You know,
Yeah.
so like last week when when I recorded Wanda from at Gibson, man, her costume, that's one of the scariest costumes I've ever seen. When I recorded that video, I was like, it's one of the most beautiful videos I've ever recorded, because I'm like, it's just spooky. Like,
Hmm.
never seen anybody really be spooky on skates. So like, those are the things that I like. I'm not really great at editing. I'm learning all that stuff. Learning as I go, but I really like to capture action moments for people,
Yeah.
while they're skating. And then these are people, and I try to record people that don't usually get recorded. You
Hmm.
know, I'm trying to capture that moment for somebody so that they can look back at it and be like, I enjoyed that song. I enjoyed skating to that. Or I remember skating there and it was a good time, but that's a really great video of me skating. And most people don't realize how great they look when they're skating, or how happy they look when they're skating. And I'm trying to capture those moments.
So somebody like you, man, where I just see uh, every time I see a video or I've seen you at events. I mean, like you're like really well versed in what seems like almost every style. You know what I'm saying? Like, so how would you say that your kind of like drive to kind of want to learn more is just as kind of strong as it always has been? Like, or yeah, you're
Pretty
constantly
much.
trying to advance. What would you say like you're like really interested in now, kind of learning or figuring out? Like, what's like the newest thing that you're working on?
I I'm I want to call myself a jack of all trades and a master of none. I
Mm,
don't want to be a master of anything, because you're
hell
never
yeah,
going to be a master.
right,
What I do enjoy being is, I love seeing opportunities to grow. So
absolutely,
when I watch other skaters, I watch them and I go, that's interesting. I'm going to go home and try that.
yeah,
Or I see something online, I'm like, wow, Bobby King, he's got some amazing ass footwork. He's sliding. I don't know how he's sliding like that, but I want to learn it. And I'll
yeah,
watch that video 2 or 3 times and be like, all right, I know what wheels I need to get. Pop them on my skate. Go out there and try it. I'm willing to give it a shot, but also it's like, I don't. I want to say it's all thanks to being introduced to skating the way I was introduced to skating.
yeah,
Growing up in a small city, smaller skating rink, then exposing myself to bigger, then exposing myself to the East Coast and jam skating, and then expanding, and then watching the jam skating scene grow to its pivotal point at that point in time, and then kind of branching off and watching other skating as well, and then just trying it out, never
mm,
being afraid to try anything new. um I was kind of a risk taker, but also understanding the core basics and the fundamentals. Once you learn those fundamentals, you can apply them to any style of skating. You really
yeah,
can. And just being willing to try and understanding that you are going to fail.
yeah,
Um, with practice, you're always failing, and that's perfectly okay. And
yeah.
I enjoy that. I enjoy that process. I enjoy failing a lot.
So
Um,
I was just talking to somebody about this because I think you're kind of like, as far as like the mindset of this stuff, you're kind of like right on in line with me, because I always look at it like practice isn't necessarily fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, because most
mhm,
of the time when I'm practicing, like it's not what I'm out there doing, like what I'm kind of well versed in. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
It's doing something that like I'm not well versed in, right? So, and I I kind of like to just I kind of trickle things in, you know what I mean? Like I see something, or maybe I'll even just stumble upon something like these happy accidents freestyling or something, and
Mhm.
then I'll try and like build it into what I have. But I'll take it and I'll try and figure it out. Like you said, it's never really a mastery of anything, but I'll kind of get the hang of it and I'll play with it and I'll enjoy it for a little while. But then I gotta find something else. I gotta do. I can't stay there, man. I would like there's no way that I would be doing this coming back into it uh at all if like I couldn't, without constantly figuring something else out. I just always have to be in that process, and it's like I said, it's not about mastering anything, but I mean, I'm ADD as it is. You know what I mean? I have a
Mhm.
hard time sitting still, whether it's like physically or mentally, right? So
Absolutely.
and I enjoy that kind of high of, when because the deal, man, when you figure something out, man, and it's that feeling, like, oh
Yeah,
shit,
you get this.
I hit that, man.
You get
Yeah,
this pivotal high, and you go,
yeah,
"I got it."
yep,
Now, how can I apply it to
right,
other styles, or how can I apply it to this combination of moves, or how can I apply it and something to it, or share it with somebody? My
yeah,
thing for me really is I love footwork. I grew up with footwork. I enjoy footwork. I've done footwork all my life. I was doing it as a young kid before I even knew what jam skating was, apparently, and didn't realize it until I was learning how to jam skate. And there's training where you learn how to count the 8 counts, and you learn how to you
right,
know count the musicality and all that stuff. But I was doing that beforehand, just doing footwork. And then once I learned how to use that footwork and apply it to different styles of skating, that's when I was like, the Pandora's box was starting to peep open. And I was
hmm,
like, well, if I can do it with footwork, what else can I do it with? Can I do it with spins? Can I
yeah,
do it with groundwork? Can I figure out how to do footwork, do a spin, go down to the ground and do a groundwork combination? Learning how to do threading and then getting into a spin and standing back up and dropping and rolling back and doing a power move like a pike or a stall, you know, and going back to when you were talking about it, like I remember at Gibson where I was just in the middle, just ebb and flowing, right? And the floor was slick, and I knew it was slick, and I'm sitting here going, well, I'm going to try this anyways. Why not? And I enjoy other people watching me fail
hmm,
because most people aren't going to try what I do on skates in the middle. They're not going to try a hail or a hollow back stall, and then I fall on my back and I land really hard, and everybody's like, "Ooh!" and I'm like, "I'm fine. Don't worry about it." And I get right back up and I shake it off and I stretch and I go right back at it again. And that is I want people to understand that skating isn't always fun. I enjoy the process of learning something new by failing.
yeah,
And I want people to understand that you are going to fail, whether you're at a shuffle event, at your home rink practicing, getting a private lesson in outdoors, or wherever you're at. You're going to fail. It's better to learn to fail in front of others
hmm.
because when you do that, you learn a hell of a lot faster. Pardon my French,
Oh
but
hell
a
yeah.
heck of a lot faster.
No, absolutely, man. I mean, yeah, like look, I mean, if I'm not so concerned about, how I look or my ego isn't out of control, I mean, like the fact is that any public session is an opportunity for me to learn something. Um who
Absolutely.
would you say that there's somebody like right now, like someone that you watch right now that you're like, yo, this dude is crazy, like, or maybe a couple people, one person, is there someone like that you watch or that that you're just like, this dude is sick or this girl is sick or whoever?
One of my favorite skaters of all time is Steve Cantrell. And I tell him every time I get to see him that I just watch him. I just
Yeah,
watch him. I just study. I just sit there and I watch him. And he is a powerhouse. So is Solomon. Solomon used to be a sponsor skate with me on Anabolics. Um, and he's still sponsored by Anabolics. Man, Solomon from Atlanta, Georgia, powerhouse. The man's just a few years younger than me, but man, that guy can get down and he could do all the power moves. And it's like that's all he does. He is the pinnacle of skating. He's
hmm.
he works hard. He's practicing every day. He's making content, having fun with it. He travels and skates, does performances. He was everything that I was when I was 18, but he's in his 30s doing it. And I mean, he's amazing.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of skaters. I can list a whole bunch of lists. You know, Dylan Morton, he's fantastic too. Every time
Yep.
I get to see him skate in person, I'm just in awe. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just in awe. And it doesn't even have to be like complex skating either, like you said. It's like just watching him practice is like,
Yeah.
man, he's smooth with it. He's
Yeah.
practicing his ebb and flow, and he's getting that ebb and flow, and he's honing it in. And
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, it's just a whole list of skaters that I can name off the top of my head. You know, he I have a friend, you know, a friend that I met actually through Skate Downtown Cincinnati, Chris Saint, and he is amazing as a JB skater. And man, just watching him do that footwork while he's shuffle, or like when he's on the outside, man, that footwork is so smooth.
Yeah.
And he just loves JB skating, and you can see it on his face when he's skating,
Hmm.
when he's going around the outside. You can his whole body radiates love for skating.
Huh.
It's contagious. Like it makes me want to go skating just thinking
Yeah,
about
man. That so there's two things that always stand out to me, and I know like three out of those four names I can literally picture in my head just from videos and stuff like that, seeing stuff
it. Hmm.
online. But there's like two things that I kind of are always like a theme with me, and the first one is like when I really enjoy like watching a skater. One is all everyone that I really kind of admire, you know, from afar or whatever, or people that I do know personally. It's always people that literally can be mistaken for no one else. Like, you know,
Yep.
they might have a discipline, right? But they have their own style. Like you could see, like I always say, like there's one dude around here, and I would always tell him, you know, bro, you could get in a ninja outfit. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Hmm.
and all I'd be able to see is your eyes, but I'd know it was you. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
like that's the first thing. Like anyone that brings like an individual style to the floor is always somebody that I'm just always like enamored with. And two is that other thing that you just said. When I watch this person, am I like, you know, I watch like a 60-second, 90-second video, and I'm like, shit, I gotta go. I gotta go skate right now. You know what I mean? Like, and there are
I,
people that do that to me all the time.
oh yeah. I get it all the time, and I'm blessed and lucky enough. My neighbor next door, he built a half court basketball court in his
Mm-hmm.
backyard. So now I even get more of the bug. So I wake up and I see a video if I happen to catch one before after I drop Theo off of school. I'll come back home. I'll grab my skate box, drag it down the hill. I live on a hill, unfortunately. But I roll down here to the basketball court, blow it off, and go to skate. As soon as
Yeah.
I see something that catches me, and I don't record every time I skate. I skate 3 or 4 times a week,
Yeah.
and no, I don't record ever 90% of it. I'm just like I'm going to go skate, practice, have
Yeah.
a good time, put on some music, and just roll and vibe. You know, and sometimes I pull out the camera, sometimes I don't. Part of the learning experience is like, you know, I just got to practice and get my itch in. You know, because I don't get the opportunity to go skate indoors at the rink all the time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I kind of fell in love with Skate Downtown Cincinnati when they did their events downtown. It's like, I know there's an outdoor rink, not even 10, 15 minutes from me. I can hop in the car, go down there and skate if I feel like it. And then when there's events, I go down there and I get to meet new people. I get to meet expert skaters, non-expert skaters, get to meet people in the city, you know, and you get to build a new community that's kind of a little bit diverse, where you have people who don't know anything about skating at all, and they're looking to you for expertise, and then you're able to help them through your experiences. And then there's also skaters who have the experience, and you get to learn through them, through their eyes and their experiences, and then they get the same for you, you know. You know, a lot of skaters learned a little bit of jam skating from me. I got to learn a little bit from them when they do certain spins, like the Cleveland freestyle skaters, like Gemini and Meek and Marv from Reckless Skaters. They're based out here in Cincinnati, but they're freestyle skater or Cleveland freestyle skaters, and they're amazing. Like they're so good at what they do. And it kind of reminds me of jam skating a little bit because they do stomps and steps to the beat, but their beat's a little bit off from what I was trained to do.
Yeah.
So they're going with the music and the rhythm and not so
Mhm.
much of the 8 count beat.
Right.
So when they're jumping and spinning and they're landing on that drop, it's clean and
Right.
crisp. They stomp and you'll hear claps and they'll do a 540 and they're all sequenced in 540s and they're really clean and crisp. And, you know, these guys, and just watching them skate just inspires me to try new things too. It really does. That's what got me into even wearing high tops to begin with. It's just getting more comfortable back and having more support around my ankles when I'm doing jumps and spins.
Yeah, so you, because I've seen videos of you like with like speed skates or jam skates, you know what I mean? But I've only since like I started skating again, and I've seen like you since I've started. You have that high boot. So how long have you been wearing that consistently?
I've all my life, off and on.
Okay.
So even when I was jam skating, I had a pair of high top skates. Now, how often did I wear them? Not much at all. Because at the time I needed that ankle mobility. You know,
Yeah.
when I'm threading, I need to have my ankle turn literally 9 degrees to my left. I can't do that in a high top boot. You know,
Yeah.
there's a stay in the boot that prevents me from that. So I couldn't wear it. Like I knew my limitations with my hardware, basically.
Mhm.
So I would switch over to my low top skates, you know, like my you know, probably like something like this, where this low cut ankle allows me to turn my foot sideways to where I can thread and cross and stuff. And
Yeah.
then I enjoyed that a lot. And then I'd always wear my skates kind of loose and I liked them standard fit, you know, because I like to have that heel spin on the back, but also was able to go to my toe and do toe spins. And it was a lot easier when your toe plugs hit the ground right here versus, you know, having a short forward mount where you go to lean forward and your toe plug's actually way too close to the front of the boot and you're basically just staying on a toe plug and you're not all the way down.
Yeah.
It shifts your weight a different way when you're going to spin, you
Yeah.
know? So just, you know, just knowing my limitations and knowing what I can and can't do with the hardware I have, it's part of the experience, right? You know, I knew growing up real quick that I was gonna be doing a lot of breakdancing on skates. You got to have low cut boot for that, and it was primarily what most people used. Um, and then right around, you know, a couple of years back, I would say not even 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 years back, you know, jam skaters started understanding that, you know, in order to do some of these more complex spins and some of these more aggressive jumps and flips and stuff, you need to have that support around your ankles. You need that
Yeah.
support. You know, we're getting older, we're not getting any younger. So having that support around my ankle was really crucial to me. So, you know, I got me a nice set of high top skates and the rest is history. I wear those when I go to skate, when I'm practicing my spins and my jumps and my even some of my shuffles. I prefer to have a high top boot. That weight shifting into the center of my foot versus the heel of my foot, it makes I can go a heck of a lot faster. You know.
Yeah. So, now, it mentioned something interesting, and maybe this is the experience of a lot of people that get into jam. But you were saying that you got into b-boying or breaking like as a result of skating, so you were learning on skates.
Yep.
That thing. So, what was that process like? I mean, is there any of that you do try and figure out like off skates first, or is it just all skates?
So I would eat, breathe, and sleep breakdancing. You know,
Yeah.
at the time, and talking my age again, internet. We were just getting introduced to DSL internet, so we didn't have. We were still in dial up some of it, and then once we got DSL, we were able to start looking up videos.
Yeah.
Once we unlocked that, it opened up a whole new world.
So you weren't like surrounded by b-boys or anything like that,
No.
like where you were just out there just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So it's funny because like we would all feed off each other.
Yeah.
Talk about these lay skates, right? I would probably around 2004, I met David Smith. And me and David Smith, we were skate partners. We were duo partners, right? But we would ebb and flow and feed off each other. Smitty would catch a video online. He'd practice it at home, bring it to the rink. We're sitting in the middle. He's doing a crazy footwork or thread. And I'm going, where do you learn that from? He's like, man, I watched this video. And then he would show me that thread. And then I'd be like, well, I don't want to mock you. I don't want to bite off you or anything.
Right,
So
right,
let
right.
me put my own twist into it. Let me
Yep.
see what I can do to create something a little bit different from that. Or I see him do that and I go, oh, I can do something else out of that. And then I would completely flip the script and try something new. And then we'd build off each other like that, right? Smitty wasn't always a really great at spins. He was really good at footwork at one point. He was really good at originality. You know, we all were like a melting pot. And Cincinnati was a really good central Midwest location for a lot of these skate teams. So when we had late skates, people for freestyle or Tennessee freestyle would come up to us, and then we would have people for like break skate come over to us, and so we were just a big old melting pot. The middle was a big thing, you know. We
Yeah.
were practicing in the middle a lot. Shuffling wasn't really as big as the middle work was. The middle
Oh
work
no.
was what we came for, but we also shuffled.
Yeah.
It's just we were prominently working on the middle. We would battle each other like a typical b-boy battle. You know, I'd go my turn, and then somebody else would go their turn, and then somebody go their turn, and we're all just kind of showing up and showing out and feeding off each other. And I mean, that's kind of how we did it. And then when we were off skates, it's the same thing. Like I was sending videos and links to YouTube and Google videos of, you know, B-Boy Junior and all these other B-Boys breaking it down, trying all these crazy new power moves, and we would try to put them on skates.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've watched plenty of skaters hurt themselves doing that, but it's what we did as kids. Like we were all building off each other, and we were basically hyping each other up between events. We would talk smack to each other. We had a rivalries. Me and David Smith always competed against each other, whether we wanted to or not. Every event, there was always a hat draw, and somehow me and Smitty always ended up battling each other. And we lived right like 45 minutes from each other. We always battled each other. It was normal. And battling other skaters, you know, you get to watch when you're at these events. Part of the experience is just watching these skaters get down. They're all different styles and different, you know, disciplines, and being able to apply some of the artistic skating that this skater does, and then some of the threading and footwork from Texas that came in, and like you're like, wow, I have to go home and practice that for 6 months and then come back again and do it again. And I
Yeah.
get to work with other skaters in my local area and build off of each other and grow.
Well, it's crazy too, because you know when you mentioned power moves, right? Like I feel like whenever I'm watching like the jam skating, when it comes to like power moves, like I more think of it like on skates as like super power moves, right? Because just the
Mhm.
weight of your skates, it creates a whole nother thing, right? And that's
Yeah.
what's like, because the challenge is, man, is like, you know, obviously you want to look as clean and as smooth as someone without skates on, and that's the challenge of it, right? Because
Yep.
I mean, you got these friggin' weights on your feet, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that was always the thing, like, is when you see somebody that basically can do that kind of do power moves, like they like almost as seamlessly as somebody without skates on, or some
Mhm.
people even do it. That it's just incredible to me, man. I oh God, I can't even begin to. Jeez.
You will see that people who practice their moves so many times and so often, and they train their bodies to do it outside of skating, you can see that every time they do a power move on skates, you can see the work that they put into that power move in order to get to that level. You know, you can see that in a
But
heartbeat.
I don't think people that on the outside of b-boying or whatever, or that whole culture, understand like power moves. I mean, there are some of the best crews in the world. They literally went and recruited acrobats. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like for their power stuff. You know what I'm saying? So for somebody that like for people that aren't, you know, they didn't grow up in the craft or the art of breaking, and they literally just learned for skating, right, to do
Yeah.
power moves, is crazy when you think that like literally the best breakers in the world go out and recruit literal gymnasts. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
They
To do
do.
that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, absolutely. You can tell too, man. If you ever like watch, like, you know, I'm sure you watch BC1 and all that kind of,
Yeah.
you could tell, especially too, like in the early 2000s, man, where certain crews were like, Oh, this dude literally just came out of like he was a gymnast like last week. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like he's doing his sawhorse out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
yeah, because that was like the thing though, man. So to think that like people like literally just learn that on skates, I don't know, man. Much respect. Much
It
respect.
was
It's
funny.
crazy.
It's funny you say that because there was I can remember a skater who is in the skating community right now. His name's um Corey Cooper. And man,
Yo, dude. Oh my god.
I remember the day, the first day I've ever seen him skate on a pair of skates, and he just bust out a power move like it was nothing. And I mean
On feet.
he was 14 years old. 14 years old, first competition I got to see him skate in, and he went out and he was a powerhouse. I mean, you could tell he did gymnastics. He had to be trained in gymnastics because he was able to go up and bust a halo or hollow better than I could. And I was 17 at the time. I was like, where in the hell did this kid come from? And we
Yeah.
had these prodigies. We had these young skaters. Brandon Pereira, he's an actor out in at Hollywood now. But he was the same way. He came on skates and he was a powerhouse. These young skaters who came in and helped mold the next generation of jam skating. It was like unnatural. Like they came out of nowhere too. And
Yeah.
it inspired us old cats to go, we need to hone this in because this is the future of jam skating at the time.
Absolutely. And Corey Cooper is literally the example of, I mean, that dude looks like he's doing power moves in sneakers when he's got skates on.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it is crazy, dude. It's, yeah.
Absolutely, it is.
Oh my
And,
God.
and I mean, I love watching him skate. I really do. I really love watching him hit those power moves one after another after another. I mean, it's not my forte. I grew up with it, but now it's like I want to be ebb and flow. I want to go from one move to the next secretly, like with poise and charisma, and constantly keep my ebb and flow moving and never stop. Some people just want to hit that power and hold it, and in itself, it's not. It's beautiful to see in person. It's
Oh
unlike
yeah.
anything else. If you ever got to go down to Champs and watch Corey skate, or go down to Richmond in Kentucky, which is only an hour and a half from me, watching him skate, in person, it's unlike those videos.
Oh,
It
I'm
really
sure
is.
yeah. I've yet to see him in person. I'm sure it's just insane. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
it's absolutely insane,
It doesn't
and
even look
inspired
like it
you.
makes sense. It doesn't even look like it makes sense. Like that
Mm,
shouldn't be possible. You know what I mean?
mhm. Oh yeah, and when you go to watch it, like man, I remember trying to do that stuff.
Oh,
I remember I can go back to when I was at Florence Fundamental Night Skate, and I was sitting there trying practicing halos one after another, after another, after another, and basically throwing my back out at the age of 16, trying to keep up with these young skaters who were able to come in and just hold them. You would sit
yeah.
there and just sit and pause upside down, and I'm going, man, I wish I
And
wasn't that flexible.
on top of that, and Corey shares all this stuff, you know what I mean, about his own, struggles, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
like with addiction and stuff like that. I mean, he talks about it freely, and to see somebody go through that kind of like, venture away and kind of get lost, and to come back and like where he is, I mean, you could tell but to do it at the level where it's crazy. It's just,
Oh yeah.
man, so much respect to that dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I give him props because like when he came in the skating scene, he was a powerhouse. And then we all have our struggles. He went through his struggles, came back out, and he's still hitting that same power like it
Oh,
was like natural. And some people, I mean, he's one of only two or three people in my entire life I've ever met who can get back on skates like that and hit those moves that clean
oh yeah, he's a freak.
every
He's a
single
freak.
time. He's a freak.
When
I love it.
yeah,
I mean, he's a freak.
yeah. You mentioned, like because you didn't have, it's not like you were b-boying before, or you were trying to learn on skates, and it wasn't like a crew that you hooked up with locally. So like, were there when you're scouring the internet, right, like looking for inspiration, were there like, are there a few different break dancers or b-boys that like you kind of like really gravitated to, and watching and you know over time, or
I,
will you
I, I
just find
kind of
whatever you could find?
I just find whatever I could find, but I
Yeah.
also liked going into different dance styles as
Mm.
well. So like ska dancing and some of these, I forget what it's called. It's like jive dancing where they're skating, they're like dancing to the beat, but they're
Hmm.
doing all this fancy complex footwork, spins, drops, stand ups, all these things that they're doing to the beat, and not only just to the beat but to the lyrics too.
Hmm.
That's what kind of got me into learning 16 counts, 32
Hmm.
counts. Understanding songs and how they break down, how you understand 8/8 counts as a chorus,
Right.
and all this stuff. Learning that musicality at a music level. I
Yeah.
played instruments in middle school, and I was kind of like,
I was just gonna
I
ask
did
you if
that
you.
just for so I can learn how to
Yep.
count music.
Yep.
Like that was really what it was for. I didn't care about the alto saxophone or being a chair and clarinet. It was more like I wanted to understand music. Like
Yep.
I wanted to understand, you know, the top hits music and how they break down counts and understanding, the Miami bass, and all these little miniature counts and all the cowbell drops and every single little synchronizer sound that you hear, and I can go on for all kinds of different types of music that I like to listen to, but it gave me the opportunity to expand my horizons and to.
I was gonna say, so like skating absolutely 100% shaped all my taste in music, all my interest in music. I mean, it's funny, I was just talking to somebody about this because there was this thing I used to do, and when I stopped skating for so long, I just totally forgot about it. But when I started again, without even realizing it, immediately happened again. Where I'll just be driving, I'll be here, Spotify's on, and I'll hear a song, and in my head, I just start going through it like, oh, I know exactly how I'd skate to this. You know what I mean? And I play the whole tape out in my head, and that's it. Not just watching other skaters, but just music in general will get me all fired, all hyped up. You know what I mean? Because now I want to go
Mhm.
and I gotta go request that song because it's probably something I haven't heard in a while. Maybe it's something I never heard before. But skating, like, it completely shaped every aspect of my music taste and what I like and what I like. I it's the reason that I wanted to have turntables. It's the reason that I wanted, like, I on
Mhm.
my own went and studied music theory. I mean, like, it just was. I don't know, man. It's funny because I'll do it even today though. I'll just be driving around and I'll hear a song and I'll just I'll just be off in my own world, literally, like, kind of like seeing myself skate to it and knowing, like, oh man, this breakdown here, man, I would, I'm gonna like whatever, it just. But and then I have to now it's a matter of how soon can I get somewhere to go try and play this out. You know what I mean? Because I
Outside.
gotta,
That's
yeah, man,
that's it. I went straight outside. Like I did the same thing. I was driving home from Muncie, and Dio's asleep in the back seat, and I'm listening to NSYNC Dirty Pop over and over and over. And I listened to it like 7 times, and I'm like, that first 2 minutes and 43
right.
seconds, I want to skate to that like right now.
Yeah, all that
Yep.
crazy breakdown stuff. Because people hear you say in sync and they're like, what? But, like,
Yeah.
listen to
Right.
that song, man. I mean, like, it's crazy.
It's the music that's behind it. It's not even so
Yeah.
much the boy band aspect. It's like,
No, it's not. It has
I
nothing to do
grew
with
up
it.
watching TRL. I wanted those top tens. I would write down the songs and I just try to find. I'd make my mix CDs and download it off Zanga and not Zanga but Kazaa and I mean it was every single time I listened to something I had to have it and I had to skate to it. And I skated outside a lot. Like I've always skated outside. Because if I can't get in the rink, where's the next best place? A smooth piece of concrete.
Yeah.
So, and I always had outdoor skates and I always had indoor skates. Most people are like, they just skate indoors and they wait till their day. Me? No, I make my day happen. Whether I
Mhm.
want to go skate or not, I get my outdoor skates and I go. I'm out there. And as soon as I can get my opportunity to get music, now that music's so easily, readily available, as soon as you hear it, you can download it, have it saved. And then I create a different playlist literally every time I go skate. And sometimes I keep some of my originals on there. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I grow a wild itch when I go to the rink and I want to hear something. And if they don't play it, I put my headphones on and skate to it. It's not very
Mhm.
often, but I have done it before. Or, it reminds me of a story where I went down to Chris Nelson's house for actually these skates right here. He built them for me. I had all the parts and I went down there, went to his house and we were hanging out and he's showing me all this skate history and I'm like, I'm in heaven, skate heaven. And then, we build these skates and then afterwards I'm like, I'm going to Georgia. You want to come? And he calls the rink up and he's like, don't let anybody know, but I'm going to DJ the session. I'm like, all right, perfect. So he goes and gets his tables, and I go head down there, and we get down there, and I'm like, man, I haven't heard this song in so long, and he he played Smurf Rock, and I haven't heard Smurf Rock in like 9 years, and I'm like, man, this it hit just right, and I had that itch, and he knew. There's really good DJs that can read the room and be like, this is going to be a good hit for somebody. I know it is. And there's only a few DJs out there that know how to do that, how to really read a room and then, go with it. But it's just, it gives me that, once I hear that song and I get that itch, I have to skate it out. It might not be today. It might not be tomorrow, but I'm going to skate it out, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, all these top hits that I grew up to as a kid. I go back and visit them. I also pick up different songs that I don't hear very often. I love skating to Daft Punk. I skated to Daft Punk as a kid. I skate to Daft Punk now. I love listening to that 90s techno and dance music. That's what I grew up to in the rink.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Like we listened to those top hits and those Technotronic and stuff like that, and then hitting the rink and skating those out. Man, hitting the shuffle line in that tiny rink, and we're like 25 deep, and it's literally wrapped around half the rink.
Man.
It was like that even as a kid, and now Castle does it when we have Saturday nights up there. It's just music is 90% of who I am. It really is.
Man, so my thing was, like, and it's funny too, because I feel kind of alone in this. Like, not many people like kind of agree, or not that they don't agree, but they're not inspired by it the way I am. But like, basically, just boom bap, man. You know what I mean? Any kind of primo. Oh my god, man! This that '90s East Coast like boom bap primo DJ Premier. Anything he did. Like anything with like just those crazy cuts, all that stuff that is what fires me up. What's a song or two maybe that literally has always, no matter when or how many times you've heard it, kind of always does that for you that you could think of?
Boogie Down Bronx, Scotty is a Scotty mix. It's the upbeat tempo of it. Man, when he released that, I have it on my computer, I have it on my phone, I have it everywhere. And if I hear that song, I'm turning it up. I'm turning it up. That is my song. And Scotty doesn't he doesn't DJ anymore, but that Scotty mix was perfect because it's exactly what I want to hear. 118 beats per minute. It's got the trills, it's got that Boogie Down Bronx vibe to it, but it's just a little bit up tempoed. It's the perfect for me. I love shuffling to it. I can skate in the middle to it. I can skate any way you want to it. I don't care. As long as if I hear it, I'm going on to it.
I get it.
I
get it. What's the newest music that you really like are enjoying, like as far as new stuff goes?
Anything it's funny because Megan Thee Stallion, a lot of her music, I just enjoy it. I don't even give a shit. I like the lyrics are crazy, but I don't really care about that. Right. I just like to have fun. So like going out there doing footwork, shaking my ass, dropping to the ground, doing groundwork, standing back up, just having fun and cutting loose is kind of one of those big things for me as a skater and being able to do. Now, is it appropriate for every session? Absolutely not. But for me to go
barely appropriate for any session.
It is at some of them. I do go in adult skates and I enjoy adult skates.
Yeah.
I really do. And when people watch this white boy get down in the middle of the rink at an adult skate, everybody's like, go off, white boy, go. Yeah. Like, all right. But like, I stand out. I don't care. I'm the minority and I'm okay with that. Yep. And I accept that wholeheartedly. And I don't care to stand out. But people are like, you're showing off. I'm like, I'm not showing off. I'm just expressing myself.
Absolutely.
This is who I am.
I totally get that.
And enjoy it. Like, enjoy and embrace the white boy in me. Like, I don't care. I can get down and do the slow stuff too. I can do everything you're doing too. But I really do like to get down when I hear that, certain songs like Mega Stallion and, dropping those drop beats and that upbeat tempo that she has and that raunchy lyrics that she has. I I get down to it. I don't care. Like, I'll dance to it all. You know, it doesn't bother me. And, you know, that's how I felt about Daft Punk. You didn't hear Daft Punk in the 90s at the rink often. But when I did hear it, you know, Aerodynamic, I was dun 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 dun. I was just doing footwork to that constantly because I mean, it just that arithmetic. It's just like second nature to you. You know, it's the same thing with like some of these songs that I listen and skate to now. Like I listen to everything, but some songs do just set me off, and it really breaks down to the environment of the rink too. Like,
Oh yeah,
some of
man.
these adult skates, you know, I'll hear something I never heard in my life. And I'm like, all right, this is hot. This is fire. I want to try. I want to skate to this. I want to do something different, you know? Or, you know,
Oh, were you gonna say?
I was gonna say like, or some of these shuffle events where like some of the old classics come on, you know, like Back to the Hotel, Too Deep, and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, like I can get down to this. I haven't heard it in a while. I'll get down to it.
Yeah, there's definitely like I hear what you're saying though. Like depending on the environment, because I know I wish I could think of an example off the top of my head, but I know it's happened to me recently too, where like I've heard a song at maybe one session where it just there wasn't like a vibe happening. You know what I mean? Like, but then and so like. And I distinctly remember hearing the song and being like, whatever, not feeling any way about it. You know what I mean? Really?
Yeah.
But then being in an environment where like the whole vibe of the whole place is like just, everyone's kind of going off, and then hearing that same track and and it had a whole different impact on me, dude. Like it's crazy. It's funny, man. Like I don't, cause I don't care. I don't care what there's two songs, man, where, and not that they're fairly new. They're not super new at all, but like, I don't think there will ever be a time where I do not get fired up hearing Uproar by Lil Wayne. I swear.
Yep.
Oh my God. And I wish that Wow by Post Malone was just longer. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, that song is too short, dude. Like, come on. It's like 2 minutes or something. Like, I need like 3:50. You know what I mean? Give me something.
I need a good song. I need to get my warm up in,
Because I love that.
See, I have a different vibe when it comes to, I read the room. So when I get to a rink, I don't just immediately read it. I get my skates on, I do my normal routine, I'll stretch a little bit, I'll say hi to people, whatever. I get out on the floor and I roll around the floor 3 or 4 times, and all I'm doing is just reading the rink and reading the atmosphere. And it might be, I'm hearing, I'm watching skaters go off in the middle, or there's skaters shuffling on the outside, and then I go, okay, now it's time for me to skate and what I want to do. And a lot of times you'll see me kind of go in the middle and play a little bit, and I'll go back on the outside and I'll shuffle a little bit. And then I'm ready. Once I warm up, then I'm like, all right, now I know what I'm going to do. I've read the room around. I know what I want to do for the night. And now I practice and skate. And then if I get a song before that, that sometimes comes quicker. It really does. So just being able to read the environment, read the room, enjoy yourself, and no matter what kind of skating it is and whatever session it is, I listen to your podcast all the time, and you're talking about, the music. I can skate to anything. That doesn't bother me. The music at a rink, for any reason, wherever location may be, I'm just going to have to adapt. Because I am not the only person in that rink. I pay, you pay, everybody pays. We're all here to have a good time. It's about the experience. It's not about the music itself. It's about the whole entire bundle. So you have to learn to adapt to other people's taste in music. And you need to learn to expand your horizons a little bit, Don't be afraid to try something new. Because who's judging you when you're skating? Nobody. The only person who's judging you is really yourself.
Yeah. I definitely went through something like that too, especially when I came back into it, And the reality is, man, is that myself and just like anybody else, not that important. No one's focused on me, man. You know what I mean? Everyone's busy thinking about their own thing, But oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm fortunate in the sense where, because I can be a pretty cynical dude, right? But I'm fortunate in the sense where I grew up in a place where, like, I don't know if you heard me. Well, no, this episode didn't even play yet. But so, like, when we go up to Maine, I went up with Rob McGarrigle,
Yep.
to New England, and we skate like Happy Wheels, and we skate these few places, and like they play full album cuts of a song. Okay, like
Yeah.
there's no mixing, dude. Okay,
Mhm.
so like if there's some prime example, we're at Happy Wheels, and they play Madonna's "Like a Prayer." Okay, now
Yep.
this is after Molly Hatchet. Okay,
Mhm.
they play, but now
So you
they
had the
play
intro, and the outro, and you had everything in there.
a
Everything.
whole thing, dude. It doesn't matter. It could be an 8 minute song.
It,
They'll play "Stairway to Heaven." They'll play the whole damn thing, man. You know what I mean?
it's funny. It's funny you say that because when I grew up at Jimmy's as a kid, they had the 100 disc CD
Right.
player, but
Yeah.
it had full CDs. So
Right.
when she picked a song, it played that full album cut,
Yep.
and it played from beginning to end. So
Yep.
I grew up with that. So I
Yep.
didn't care. Like that doesn't phase me. Like a DJ doesn't have to mix for me. It doesn't. Right. They don't. They don't have to. You know why? Because I'll skate to everything. I don't care. You can skate to the outro. Even if it slows down, it doesn't phase me one bit. I'm still going to skate around. I know how to count music if I don't have the music. So I'm just going to skate and have a good time. I'll slow down. I'll cool off, or I'll talk to somebody or whatever. I'll just change my pace. I'll just read the room and go with the flow.
Yeah.
That ebb and flow is important. Understanding that as yourself as a skater, but also being part of the room.
Yeah, and I love that environment. It's funny, man, because like there's this little rink around here. It's called Mount Gretna. It's literally the oldest operating rink in Pennsylvania, and it's a used to be a farm show complex, but it's this tiny place. It's got big wood beams and benches in the middle of the floor, and it's got some decent waves in it. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But they play they have like no discernment, like any request they'll take, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I like going there. There's like a couple, they do like the first and third Thursday, like 6:30 to 8:30. And they kind of have like a retro night, but they'll just play anything I ask for, and I'll ask for the gamut. Anything, man, like from Whitney Houston, like 80s Whitney Houston to, you know what I mean? Delinquent Habits, right? Like just the craziest stuff,
Stuff, yeah.
But like, I love that experience because here's my thing. Where I'm most myself is not along the wall. It's not in the middle. It's between those two places, man. Where like I am most myself. I'm the most authentic, honest version of me skating. I don't know. It's my wheelhouse, man. It's where I just get to do anything I want and try new things and not even consciously try things, just experience things.
Experiment. Yeah. Don't be afraid to experiment in that space either. So I'm the most comfortable when I walk in the roller rink. When I walk in the rink, I'm at home. And when I'm at home, I'm willing and able to try new things and be able to try and experiment and be comfortable and be myself, be at home with myself. People get to experience the true authentic self of me while I'm at the rink because it's when I'm happy. It's when I'm sad. It's when I'm upset. I get mad if I fail, I do get mad, but I also understand that I'm here to practice and have a good time. And I don't want that to ruin my experience. So I can reach out to my friends who are right next to me and go, man, I struggle with this. How can I do it better? And they can give me pointers, or they can just be like, why don't you cool off for a little bit? They'll be real.
Right.
With
yeah.
me.
Yeah. Sometimes
where I can be real. I can be real with myself, and they can be real with me, and I can listen to them and understand that maybe I do need to cool off for a minute and maybe shift over to shuffling for a little bit, and or somebody like, hey, come try this new move with me, and I'm learning something new with them, or hey, can you show me something? And I get that a lot. Everywhere I go, it's somewhere somebody wants to learn something new, and why not? I get the experience of going to a new rink, being at home with myself at a new place, and then going out there to the floor, and I get to teach somebody else something new. Man, it's like that right there pays for the experience in itself. Being able to give somebody that a new skill or a new move or something that they can take back to their rink and go, I learned this from Will, or I learned this from Dad on Skates, or I learned this from whoever you want to call me. Doesn't matter. But going back home to your rink and be like, he taught me this. let me show you how to do it. And then now, not only did one person learn it, but now two, now maybe three, maybe four, maybe it becomes a line step, and you got 10 people doing it. That's what I get out of skating, and that's where I feel the most comfortable, being able to give that back and be able to be with myself, be my extrovert self when I'm at the rink. I'm learning how to bring that back home with me a little bit, but I'm still kind of a little bit shy. I'm very timid. I reach out online to talk to people, or I'll talk to people on the phone and chit chat and stuff. I've been more sociable over the past couple of years. But, before that, I would be really chill. I'd just lay back and be like, I'll see you at the rink Wednesday, and I would just practice at home and nobody would know about it. But now it's like, I'll put up it on live and people can watch me skate and have a good time. And people really enjoy it. People really enjoy watching somebody practice and be like, they're comfortable and, confident in themselves to be able to put themselves out there and show themselves failing and falling and constantly, growing and trying new things.
Yeah, man. When would you say that you got into like the event thing?
It was right after my divorce. And I was like, I don't exactly know how the shuffle part got into it, except for there were a few events with Ron where I was like, I'll go to that shuffle event. And then once I realized it was a thing, I was like, oh, all right, I'm going to go check this out. Like, there's other skaters. Like, oh, you got a shuffle event in Atlanta? Oh, man, I want to meet up with Drake, and I want to meet up with some of these ATL skaters I grew up skating with who are down there, James, and, and just, hang out with them, and I get to practice Madison Farmer and all these skaters from ATL that I don't get to see very often, except for twice a year if I'm jam skating or whatever and competing in that. I was like, you know what? The shuffle thing's kind of more me. Like, I want to be sociable. I find it more of a social event, meeting new people, getting more experiences, having a good time, and being able to teach new skaters different moves. Like, every opportunity I get to go to Indy and I get an opportunity to help out some of the Illinois skaters like China or Trinity or Coleman or CJ or some of these other skaters that I know up in Illinois who will come down, like that means a lot to me, being able to teach somebody something new. So going and doing these shuffle events, it's kind of more my social cup of tea. Jam skating I still do, but I kind of like to mix it up. Like, I really, I hate to say this, but I get my son every other weekend, and the weekend I have my son, we stay home, we'll go on adventures and stuff. Maybe we'll try a different rink out or what have you. But on my weekends when I don't have my son, I would just hop in the car and go. I would just go, man. I adapted the Rolling Randy life. I really did for a short while there, where I was like, man, I got a mattress, I got blinds, I got electric, I got an external battery power pack that I can just like put in my SUV and have a fan on me if I get hot or whatever. And then, I had blankets and stuff, and I would just get in the car and go. I would go, 5 miles or 5 hours one way and find a rink and go skate that Saturday night, and then sleep in my car and
do Waffle House.
Go. I don't go to Waffle House. I'm actually. I would pack like protein bars and stuff.
Oh my God.
I'm very light packer. Like I'm a very light eater too. So when it comes to like skating after skating, I don't like to eat after I skate, but I will if everybody else is. Like, it's a social thing. But yeah, I only like eating at lunch. That's it. Like, in the morning, I'll have a protein bar or something just to keep the edge. Keep the edge, and then I get a good hefty lunch in, and I'm good. Like, sometimes I'll eat before skating. It really depends on where and how long I've been sitting in the car, So, but I really do. Like, I adapted that mini Rolling Randy life where it was like I would go to Maysville and go skate there, and then go shoot up the castle, and then shoot over to Roller Haven and on the over in Wilmington, Ohio, or something, and then shoot back home, and I would hit 3 rinks in one weekend, and I would just go. And then the shuffle events really help curve some of that too. It's like, oh, I can go to Atlanta, Georgia, just hop in the car and go down there. Yeah. And I would crash. I would find somewhere to crash with some friends, pay them a few, pay for a hotel stay or whatever, and help them out, help me out. I get to go skate, have a good time, and I went with, people I dated and stuff. I had a really good experience. I enjoy it. I enjoy going and meeting new skaters, which is one of the biggest things I'm excited for this weekend. Is I get to meet new skaters. Like,
Yeah, man.
there are people out there in Philly that have never seen me. I've never seen them. I'm going to take the opportunity to record some of these skaters I've never met, and I'm going to talk to them. Like, that's kind of the big thing that I get to take out this weekend. Of course, I get to see great people like Mark, you, and then I get to see Ray, and I get to see all these other skaters. I get to see all these other events who are traveling more. But there's some home people in Philly that have heard about me, but I have never met them. One of those
Yeah.
people is Robin Flipping. I think that's what she goes by on Facebook. But
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I've seen her content, and I'm like, I've never seen you in person skate ever. I was like, you have to come out this weekend. Like, I don't care if it's both days, one day, or if I have to meet up with you at an outdoor rink or something. I want to be able to at least say, hey, I met you, because I watch her content, and she's not the best skater in the world, but she practices and she enjoys it. I enjoy watching other skaters grow
Yeah, man.
as a skater. I don't care how well of a skater you are. I don't care what your background is in skating. It's more about the journey, watching you become happier with yourself and growing from within outwards. Skating brings that out in everybody in various ways. And some people glow when they learn how to skate, and some people don't. But the people who do glow, I tend to gravitate towards and be like, hey, you're happy. I know
Yeah.
you can't spin on one foot, but you're trying, and man, I can see you working hard, and
Yeah.
it shows.
Yeah. Yeah, man. No, absolutely. I totally on board with that. One other thing I wanted to ask you: do you ever get to skate, or you ever go out and skate in Wisconsin at all?
I haven't been to Wisconsin in about a year now, probably a little bit more.
It feels like a
They
sleeper place to me, man. Like, dude, there are some ridiculous skate. Oh my god, dude.
I love Waukesha. I love that rink.
Oh,
There's one little dip in the rink I don't like, but the rink itself, it's a really great rink. Now, I can kick it back a little bit for you. When I was a teenager, I watched Sarah Rose and some of these brace skates Wisconsin girls. They would travel with brace skate to these events, but they would travel 10, 12 hours to come to us, and then they go down to Georgia and stuff. But these girls I watched grow up skating. I've only went up to Wisconsin a few times in my childhood to go skate up at some of these rinks, you know. And when I started going into the shuffle events, I went up to Wisconsin quite often, you know. I'm not trying to bring up any bad blood or anything. Like, I did date Carly, and I was up there quite often, and I got to skate Waukesha, and I got to skate Star, and I love Star. I love Star's rink. You got to do that. They had an event there with Billy. Billy did an event. I loved it. I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. I got to skate with Sarah, Sarah Rose, and she's a phenomenal skater. She was like us. Like, she didn't skate for a long time. She got back into it, and man, she went from like 0 to 100. It just came back. It's like
yeah,
overnight. She came
yeah.
down and visited us, and we skated the outdoor rink a few times. Got to catch up. Me, David Smith, and her went and got pizza, hung out, and chilled and stuff. And we had a really great time when she was in town. Then I went up there and did the shuffle events up there. And man, there are some amazing, talented skaters up there. There really are.
Dude,
And
so
it is a sleeper. It's where it's located. It's so hard to get to Wisconsin
well,
to
yeah.
skate.
I mean, like, so the other day I was talking to somebody, and I literally was like, "Dude, I gotta get to Wisconsin." And I found, and like, I realized I didn't think there'd ever be a time in my life where I'd ever say, "Dude, I got to get to Wisconsin," right?
Yeah,
But like, it's funny. It's like when I started skating again, like the first couple of events I hit, I remember like the first person that I saw that, like, I mean, and since then there's been, more than a few, but like I
hmm
remember the first person that I saw where I was like, oh my god, and it was Aaron Bardwell, right?
yeah.
Like, oh
Man,
my
Aaron can
god,
cook. Aaron
dude.
can cook.
And I was like, we're there's a few of us talking about the Waukesha event coming up here in December. I gotta go. It just, man. But yeah, when I saw, because I saw him, I think, was it Pitt? I think, I don't know. Can't remember if he was at Pittsburgh the first time I went to the Steel City. but I know he was at um the flying event, the one that was after that, not this
Yeah,
past one, but before. And I just was like, oh my dude, holy crap. Like kind of
man,
like
he is
Brandon Nix, like that super lengthy, like
yeah,
how are they
he's
doing what they're doing?
very tall. He's got long appendages. But man, when he skates, it's like it's just so you can get lost in watching him skate. Just how fluent and how fast he is. I can just watch him skate all day.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I mean he skates Illinois, he'll skate Wisconsin, and man, and he's a really phenomenal speed skater, but he takes that and he applies the shuffling to it as well, and it's like you could sit there all day. You could
Good.
and videos don't do justice either when it comes to
No,
that type of
no,
skating. It doesn't
nope.
because no, it doesn't. Because skating, when you're recording a video, you're following that person. So it doesn't even look like they're going that fast. But
Right.
when you're watching them in person, I can't keep up with them. I
No,
know I can't.
it's
I have to
crazy.
be far away just to get a video of him. Because
Yeah.
I just can't keep up. He's just so he's so tall and long that he pushes one, it's probably two of my pushes on
Yeah.
skates. So, him and Nick and TJ and all these skaters that are up there that I don't usually get to see unless they come down here. I want to go back up there too. I want to go up there in December, but when I start a new job, I tend to like slow back a little bit just to get readjusted. Then I'm going to reapply myself again and get back into it.
Yeah.
So just getting into that ebb and flow again.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more on that, dude. Like I with Bardwell, man, I like it's like I don't know how you could be that fluid, that kind of like well, just fluid, right? But also funky as hell, dude. Just funky. You know what I mean, dude? Like how like that's just like the perfect combination of those two things, which in a lot of ways don't belong together, but somehow are. Oh man, yeah. But so I'm kind of stoked about that. I got to skate with that guy again. I just because like you said, the video doesn't do it justice. I just like to go watch. Like there's some
Yeah,
people I could just I'll just
I'm skating around. I'm watching them skate,
yeah,
and
man.
I do that. Like I
And
don't
I'll have
care to
just as much
pay
fun.
$200 just to go down there and watch them do that. Like because these are skaters that you take back home. You go back home, you're like, man, I want to figure out how he did that, and that's where you get
Exactly.
that practice back into.
Yep.
You get to put it back out there on the floor, and you get to try new things. Like it's all a big full circle, and it constantly helps you grow as a skater.
Yep.
I'm never going to be a master of anything. I'm just going to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I know that, and I enjoy it, and I love it. And that's what keeps me in skating. That's what that helps me grow the love of skating, and being able to give it right back. Full
Awesome,
swing.
man. Awesome. Well, man, we're like an hour and 34. Is there anything that you wanted to throw out there? Anything you wanted to say? Anything you wanted to plug or announce or anything?
I mean, other than I I love skating just like everybody else, and I hope you do too. I know you do because you wouldn't be doing what you do if it. And I shout out to you because you're amazing for doing what you do. I mean, just watching you grow, skate like you, from what I saw was simple T-shirts to a podcast, and being able to be yourself and express yourself, and be able to talk to people like me who I wouldn't be doing this if somebody offered me to get on a podcast a year or two ago, I'd be like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
But when you reached out, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll give it a shot. What's the worst
Yeah.
gonna happen? I'll trip and slip on my words and or embarrass myself, whatever. But it
Yeah,
doesn't
man.
matter. It's about having fun and being able to be able to express ourselves and not only on the skate floor but off the skate floor, and being able to be role models or leaders in our communities, and whether that is in skating or in the public, we all grow from each other and we learn from each other. So that, and I mean, if anybody ever does come to Cincinnati, we do have Skate Downtown Cincy. .com. You can check out the events if you ever come out this way. Reach out to me. I'll give you a free lesson. Let me know. Like if you ever come out to Cincinnati and you're skating and you're coming out just for an event or a session at Castle, or you want to come check out Jimmy's, let me know. Don't hesitate to reach out to me and be like, hey, I'm coming to town this weekend. What do you got planned? I'm like, well, me and Theo got this, but we'll come hang out with you, if you want, I'll give you a free lesson. Theo will hang out. He'll go play around, and he'll probably get me out of $20 of video games, and and we'll have a good time. I want more people to come to Cincinnati. I mean, we are a melting pot of skating, of all styles, and I welcome anybody and everybody to come down. I really do. And if you ever want me to come up, let me know. I mean, I sometimes grow wild hair and just get on adventures. So
yeah, man. Awesome. Well, hey, Will, thanks again, man. Really appreciate this. Look forward to seeing you this weekend, man. I think we'll have a good time.
oh, I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, thanks again, man. Have a good night.
Take it easy. Peace.
See you.